Welcome to this new video. Today, we're exploring some of the darkest chapters of world history to examine the tragic and gruesome ends of powerful monarchs. The crown and throne offered no protection against violent death or brutal execution. In this video, we'll examine 5 well-documented cases of kings who met particularly terrible ends, focusing on deaths that are well attested in primary sources and accepted by mainstream historians. Let's count down the 5 most horrific royal deaths in world history. On January 21, 1793, after being tried for treason by the National Convention, Louis XVI was taken by carriage to what is now the Place de la Concorde in Paris, then called the Place de la Révolution. The execution was meticulously documented by numerous witnesses. Louis arrived wearing a white shirt, his hands bound behind his back. When he tried to address the crowd, drums were ordered to drown out his voice. According to reliable accounts, his last words were, "I die innocent of all the crimes laid to my charge. I pardon those who have occasioned my death, and I pray to God that the blood you are going to shed may never be visited on France." The king was forced to lie face down on the guillotine's plank. At 10:22 a.m., the blade fell. The executioner, Charles-Henri Sanson, lifted the severed head by the hair to show the crowd. What makes this death particularly significant is not just its violence, but its profound symbolism. Louis XVI was the first European king to be executed by his own citizens following a public trial. This deliberate ceremonial killing of a monarch who had been considered God's representative on earth marked a fundamental shift in political history. For our 4th position, we look at one of history's most unusual royal executions. George, Duke of Clarence, was the brother of King Edward IV of England. After being convicted of treason against his brother in 1478, he was sentenced to death. However, as a royal prince, he was granted the privilege of choosing his method of execution. According to multiple contemporary chronicles, including those of Dominic Mancini and Philippe de Comines, George chose to be drowned in a butt, large barrel, of Malmsey wine, a sweet wine from the Mediterranean. This unusual execution took place on February 18, 1478, in the Tower of London. Why would someone choose such a strange death? Historians suggest it may have been a macabre joke. George was known to love this particular wine, or perhaps he thought it would be less painful than beheading or hanging. Others speculate it was a symbolic choice, as drowning in wine might have been seen as a more noble end than traditional methods of execution. The records from the Tower of London confirm the date of his death and the unusual method, making this one of the strangest well-documented royal executions in history. Our 3rd position takes us to Paris in 1610 for the brutal assassination of one of France's most popular kings. On May 14, 1610, King Henry IV was traveling through Paris in his open carriage when it became stuck in traffic near the Louvre Palace. Taking advantage of this moment, a Catholic fanatic named François Ravaillac approached the king's carriage, leaped onto the wheel, and stabbed Henry repeatedly with a double-edged knife. According to the official records of his trial, Ravaillac struck the king 3 times in quick succession. The first blow glanced off a rib, the second pierced his lung, and the third severed his aorta and pulmonary artery. Eyewitnesses reported that Henry died almost immediately, managing only to cough up blood without saying a word. The assassination occurred in broad daylight, with numerous witnesses present. It shocked the nation because Henry IV had survived at least 12 previous assassination attempts, earning him the nickname the Resurrection King. The aftermath was equally well documented. Ravaillac was subjected to one of the most severe punishments in French legal history. He was tortured with red-hot pincers, had molten lead poured into his wounds, and was finally drawn and quartered by 4 horses in the Place de Grève. This execution was witnessed by thousands and described in multiple contemporary accounts. Henry's death dramatically altered the course of French history, ending his policy of religious tolerance and plunging the country back toward the religious conflicts he had worked to resolve. For our second place, we examine the fate of Roman Emperor Valerian, whose documented end stands as perhaps the most humiliating suffered by any Western ruler. In 260 CE, Valerian became the only Roman emperor to be captured alive in battle when he was defeated by the Sassanid Persian king Shapur at Edessa. Multiple Roman and Persian sources, including Lactantius and the monumental rock reliefs at Naqsh-e-Rustam in Iran, confirm his capture. According to the contemporary Persian inscriptions and later Roman historian accounts, Valerian spent the remainder of his life as Shapur's personal slave. The Persian king used the emperor as a human footstool when mounting his horse, forcing Valerian to bend down on hands and knees while the Persian monarch stepped on his back. When Valerian eventually died, likely from mistreatment and advanced age, his humiliation continued. According to multiple sources, including the Roman historian Lactantius, Shapur had the emperor's body flayed, and his skin was stuffed with straw or dung and displayed as a trophy in the main Persian temple. The Persian victory monument at Naqsh-e-Rustam still exists today, showing Valerian kneeling before Shapur. This fall from commanding the world's greatest empire to serving as a footstool and eventually a macabre taxidermy exhibit remains one of history's most dramatic reversals of fortune for any monarch. Our first place features a particularly brutal and well-documented execution from the medieval Persian world. Sultan Zuhaq, also known as Zahak, a 10th-century ruler in what is now Afghanistan and eastern Iran, was notorious for his cruelty. When he was finally overthrown in a popular rebellion led by a blacksmith named Kaveh, his punishment was designed to match his crimes. According to multiple Persian chronicles, most notably Ferdowsi's Shahnameh, Book of Kings, and al-Tabari's historical accounts, Zuhaq's execution in 928 CE was meticulously planned as a public spectacle. The fallen sultan was taken to the central square of his former capital. There, his limbs were systematically removed one by one, starting with fingers and toes, then hands and feet, and proceeding to arms and legs. After each amputation, the wounds were cauterized with hot oil to prevent him from bleeding to death too quickly. Throughout this prolonged dismemberment, Zuhaq remained conscious, as the executioners were skilled in ensuring maximum suffering without causing immediate death. According to contemporary accounts, the process continued for nearly 6 hours before he finally died. What makes this execution particularly notable is that it was conducted as official state justice, witnessed and recorded by numerous court scribes. The detailed accounts in the Shahnameh and other historical texts provide consistent descriptions of the method, location, and public nature of this execution. This case demonstrates how political justice could become a form of theatrical cruelty when applied to a deposed monarch, serving as both punishment and warning to any who might consider similar abuses of power. We've now completed our examination of 5 of history's most terrible royal deaths, each chosen for the reliability of its historical documentation and its significance. These deaths weren't just personal tragedies, they were historical watersheds that often changed the course of nations. From Louis XVI's execution, that transformed European politics to Valerian's capture that damaged Rome's aura of invincibility, these dramatic ends reflect the precarious nature of power, even at its highest levels. While historians continue to debate certain details, the core facts of these royal deaths are well established through contemporary accounts, official records, and in some cases, archaeological evidence. If you enjoyed this historically accurate exploration, please like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments which historical topics you'd like to see covered in future videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next exploration of history's most fascinating chapters.